All right. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Growing Up Alien again. And yes, we have Evan back on. This is so awesome.
How's it
Uh,
going?
yeah. So tonight, you and I are going to do a little rock and roll with UFO propulsion.
All
So
right.
there's a lot of, interesting things filling the ether and the internet right now. So we're going to do like a college session with Professor Howell on some of this propulsion stuff. So yeah, and then again, Evan, you got a great little section at the end. Well, just gonna I figure at first, because we don't know a lot of our viewers and how much they know about the technology side. For those who might be new to this, we'll give them a little bit of an introduction to what we're going to be talking about at the end of the show, how these ships fly, and introduce Ashton Forbes' channel with some pretty cool bean stuff that he's been doing the past couple of years, actually. So yeah. All right. So I'll get so I can see what I'm doing. I'm gonna pull up our screen share, and the first thing here, there's some ships. Let me see. Share the screen. Here we go. All right.
The years fly when you're having fun.
Yeah, the years exactly. So yeah, there is a that's actually an extraterrestrial scout ship. I actually saw one of those right up close. It was following along the side of my car. And this one is our friend, Evan's friend and my friend. This is Semyasi's ship. This is the one, as you can, I don't know if you can see it, probably kind of make it a little bigger, but this is from Billy Meyer and Billy Meyer. I always give the French Meyer. Billy Meyer, and some of the famous footage that he had, the video as well as the still photography way back in the day, when Semyasi was visiting him. So they call this the beam ship. And how do these things actually rock and roll? So the next, let's slide over to the next video here. I do things on a slide, so it's easier for me to like go from picture to picture. Um, so here, Evan, I'm going to hand this over to you. I must say this is courtesy of Dave Rossi. And it's been said that the craft basically swim through space. So I'll leave you to explain this image.
Well, the other one would be more just kind of zapping around. And Billy Meyer, I've people have thrown shade at the legitimacy there, but I think that even that style, no matter if if what the deal is with it, like I think that style is one legitimate type that works as I
That's
understand it. But
Yeah, I saw one right up close. That's a Pleiadian scout, and
I,
Semyasi, stuck up for him. Now I don't know all of his work, so I wouldn't get but definitely much of what he's presented is our actual ships.
well, that I was gonna that was the other point to it. It was like just I think people maybe knock on it just for the old school factor of it, but there is a progression that seems to me from that stage to where we're seeing more recently, like there's reports of like a pyramid and a cube or a cube inside a sphere, stuff like that, which is I don't maybe that's been around for a while, but I don't remember anything like that. But either one of those could be something operating on this level, as I understand it. Like you would be however, it's got the whatever the shape of the craft is and in the middle, whatever it's spitting out around it would be bending the front of time or air, whatever you want to call it, in front of us and spitting it out behind it. So it would be gating traction and there would be friction there, but it would be only with time space. You would move outside of where we're at right now and temporally shift your position versus the other craft where you're always in this air, space time, whatever you want to call it. And then you just kind of zapping, you take electricity and you kind of zap your way position wise around versus this where you're moving through time. Or you could, I imagine there's a setting where you could leave it on linear mode and like just move in this time space through this, or I mean, through this space time in time space, just at whatever observational speed we move at. So it, instead of blasting the future, going in the past, whatever, to another timeline, dimensity, or density, dimension, whatever you want to call it. You could just stay local here, but just move. The same as the other one, but I'm imagining this one takes quite a bit more energy than the other one.
Yeah, they can shift between basically what they call that the warp drive, versus just putzing around where you don't need to be, bending the field like that. So here's another image of describe, explaining what's going on with that, with the explanations of the warp field, the flat space-time, which is what Evan was just explaining, the flat, the space-time that you're experiencing now, and the use of the warp and the gravity field. So you're basically, and I love the way Dave explains that, you're basically like pushing your hand into a pillow, making that dip
Well,
into.
you see where it says gravity field there?
Yep.
There's also another one on the other side there underneath where it says warp field, like it would be going the opposite direction. Instead of one hand like that, there's also another hand pushing
Yeah,
up at the exact
right,
same time.
right,
And you're
right.
like in that butter zone,
Yep, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
which would
Pushing.
also, I think, oh, I didn't mean to interrupt
Oh
you.
no, no, no. I'm just corroborating.
Oh no, which I was gonna say, which would also be like the Stargates or uh like the Ashton Zap, like that's that right there in between that two yin yangs is where your action happens.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So this is cool for me. I love Dave's the way he explains things because it just for people who are twats like me, it brings things into so here is an actual craft. Again, this is courtesy of so this guy here, he's not warping space. I mean, they're just putzing. They actually weren't moving, but they were doing some power-ups and stuff like that. There's about 3 or 4 pictures that go along with this same ship, but this is one picture I just pulled just to explain what happens on the craft skin, which again assists in understanding the not only the technology but the physics of what goes on and why you're actually seeing all this fog. So the craft is not blowing smoke. This isn't like a movie set illusion. This is just a byproduct of the energy field, the engine system on these ships. And Vin, I don't know if you wanted to add anything.
Yeah, I would say like speculative or speculation wise, like this, I would say this is like maybe the same move where they would, if they wanted to, like, a they ionize the air underneath the
Yeah,
craft is like how they lift this on this model, I think.
yep.
So maybe the lights on the outside could be just like a way to let people know like stand back, we're ionizing the air. But also I think this specific move like this would be like there's examples where crop circles get magnetized or like the stalks look like they've grown and there's nodes.
Yeah,
Like I think
the
it would
node.
be
Yep, the nodes on the
something
grain. Yep.
something along this line where it's a real specific area that it's affecting, but I also think maybe or at least for a while they would throw on lights to warn people to stand back or whatever. Like, although I'm sure they have sensors for that as well, but
Oh, yeah, this one here, this is from Commander Bethune's book. It's very hard to get a copy of that book. If you can grab one, it's going to cost you some nice change. However, it was Commander Bethune's friend when he was there. This is Nashville, Tennessee, in 1989. The man that he was with made an appointment. I'm not sure what Pleiadian. It just says from the Pleiades. I'm not sure what Pleiadians were behind this. More than likely, it's our guys. I'm just going to say that. It's probably a hell, if anything. But it could be another, the race of Pleiadian. But they said, come out to this field and is in the woods and bring your camera, a professional camera system, he says, because we're going to show our ships. And it was actually one ship and they were doing a big light show. So this is actually just for show. Of course, it's doing what you mentioned, Evan, but this was actually a performance that the crew put on for the photographs to be taken. And I have many pictures of this one ship changing. The whole ship changes color, and you can see the different ways in which that ion field creates fogs all around the ship. But it was basically just a bunch of Pleiadians putting on a party show. So
I'm sure they could do all sorts of colors,
hard to say.
A and patterns, and B, I was gonna say e from UFO stuff to just random old documents to esoteric magic scripts, it seems like the more hard to come by and expensive something is, like the more legit it also happens to be, in my opinion, so far that I've noticed. Like to this point, to the point of this book, like oh, that like for some reason all the copies are out of the public circulation, in
Oh
my
yeah,
opinion.
they're not impossible to find, but if you do get one, it's going to cost a bunch. Yeah, like I said, this is all courtesy of Frank Chille, who is spent a lot of time with Commander Bethune. And so and Linda, actually, I don't know if Linda, I think she did actually was able to download this whole talk on this ship and Bethune from Frank Chille on our show, but I think it's also on Potentials as well. So I'll put that in the link. So always plug Potentials. So much great tech and just fun stuff on that one. That's Linda's channel. It's a party for y'all. So I
Speaking of OG Salt members, I think I'm allowed to disclose she's one of them.
oh yeah, Salt member. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So for some folks who might be surprised, this is the Mercedes, not that this has anything to do with ships, but it does because when the Roswell crash happened, all that technology was pulled from the ship. And so the Mercedes-Benz Avatar, this is not a new car, by the way, it's been around for years. It's a mine drive vehicle. So that's, you can check that out on YouTube. And we're going to end with just as you can see, this lady, there's, that's, you just drive this car with your mind. It's not road legal yet, obviously, but it also runs off of biometrics, just like the ships do, your DNA, how to get in, how to access them. Same thing in the Mercedes Avatar. And this is military, well, what the military hid is now being released. So, and this is not new. This car's been around for years. So if you can see this lady here, this is a prototype of the headband that was worn by the Greys that were on the Roswell crash. So they recovered the headband technology, and you wear this headband as she is there, and that's how you drive the Mercedes-Benz vehicle.
Well, that's
Well,
part of it, right? Like they got that in the open, which is one aspect of it. Then they have I think they released to the public that the fighter pilots and their heads up display have
oh yeah,
active stuff wherever their eye looks is
yeah,
where their
and that's
weapon
been
is
oh
aimed.
that yeah, that goes way back.
So that you put those two together, and then you have the other aspect where I don't know if it was maybe MIT
Yeah.
or Harvard. In the last couple of years, they trained an AI or a computer program to look for um, motion with uh, a camera, and then they trained it to look with a Wi-Fi and radio signals, radio frequencies, and they can pick up the same thing to the same point where they can reverse that to what you're thinking. Now they can aim it at your head and check what you're thinking,
Yeah.
which to me is a two-way street of they probably already know how to tap that on the
Oh,
outbound without the big knob strapped to your head. So if you put those three together, I would say maybe that's a pretty good starting point for like our own craft anyway.
oh, yeah, well, we all know the, secret group has been doing like chips in the head and all that stuff. So I don't think most people want to have a chip. I would not have a human put a chip in my head. Unfortunately, a lot of the SSP, Montauk, all the usual friends that we have, they didn't have any choice and they got all chipped up so they can, so they're doing it like that way. The ETs do that too, but they don't do it. They do it in a benevolent way. It's meant. It's like so many ETs actually fly with a chip. So you go to a med bed and they just place the chip. But it's also for communication, a bunch of different things. But yeah, the ones here aren't usually bueno. That's a lot of people have, there's actually, people can fool around the internet, but there's so much documentation of the victims of these programs. They get MRIs and their heads are all full of chips. They're like, what the? Oh yeah. Like Neuralink setups and chips. And it's like, yeah. I mean, it's like freaking man.
I think it's possible without it personally, or like if you
Oh,
had
for sure.
maybe one little like sunflower seed thing like in your foot or something, mate, that would be legit, like where it would help
Oh yeah.
your system like a natural one where it's not gonna, do whatever. Which
Yeah.
maybe that happens too also, but
Wow.
I
Yeah. I'm
I
cool.
would say you
If
don't need it.
upstairs is doing it, I have no problem with it, if upstairs is. But I'm not letting anybody down here do nothing. So the next one, let me pull this up, share screen. This is going too well. It makes you wonder what's going on. All right. This one, we're gonna put Evan back on the hot seat again.
Oh,
No. So I'm probably have to get my glasses. I can't see up with my glasses when I can't read now in the dark without them. So anyway, this book is seriously crazy. And I'm going to run it by everyone here. And Stefano Breccia, so the extraterrestrials that had a base in Ascoli and Pescara, Italy, they've been there for, oh my God, centuries. They actually had Italians, regular humans, fly their craft. They had pilots fly their craft, and they told how they were built and everything. So there's something, they remind me a little something of the Venusians, because you, not like the Pleiadians, because you can see the engine bubbles, the little balls. I don't know what you they're like the little torsion field loops. All
that's
ships,
weird. There's three of them, huh?
there's
What are
three
the
on this
odds?
one. Yeah, there's three on their ships, just like the Venusian craft. Now, in the Pleiadian craft, they're hidden. You don't see them. So, this is what he says. He calls them spheres. So he says the three spheres under the main disk are hollow, and it's those little look like landing things, but they're not. Those are the little torsion disks, and they're filled with a high pressure nitrogen. There is an internal radial magnetic field that forces nitrogen into a doughy state in order to increase its density. How does that ring?
That's all on point. Yeah, if you get three of them, that's the four orbs from Ashton. The you get three orbs all fractal locked together, and then you create that fourth orb, whereas that's your temporal movement point.
Cool. I'm gonna go to the next picture just because that one's got the rings I want to show. Somewhere. I make things convenient for myself, then I have to fire this. There it is. So there's the ring. So the ring on the top of the tower is rotating like the two lower ones. The topmost and lowest rings rotate in the same direction. So there's three of these rings stacked. The top one and the lowest one, they rotate in the same direction. The middle ring rotates in the opposite direction. In some cases, the two lower rings are connected to the central column, each one via 4 plugs. In this case, each plug contains a mother battery amounting to 8 altogether. In other craft, the lower rings are either held in periphery by mechanical devices or are held in place via local magnetic fields. So
The magnetic field part definitely is like the advanced one, A and B. I would say it looks like a sine wave for where they're connected. Like
people, yeah,
one of them goes this way, and another point. It's interesting that there's six too, three of each.
depends on I think it would depend upon the craft and what you're trying to, do.
Well, yeah, this is only for the one specific model, right? The
This is the
that one.
yeah, I mean, in this book, and I recommend this book to folks, go on Amazon. And I have the book's name there. But I mean, he shows, I mean, it is like this. I didn't have time tonight to go into a lot of this stuff, but he's showing like amazing, like the mathematics, I mean, how things are done, like how, I mean, it's just like the quantum fields and what happens. It's just amazing. But so he says the top ring, and there's an example of the ring I show you there on that picture. The top ring is a torus composed by alternate disks of conductive and insulating material perpendicular to the circular axis of the torus, as in the following image. So you can see that. The two lower rings are made mainly of cobalt and nickel.
Huh.
Mhm.
Cobalt, huh?
Mhm. Well,
That's a good sign.
we don't use that. The Pleiadian craft use different metals, but this is these guys. So he says in the circle where the outer disk meets the tower, there are 3 circular coaxial cavities with decreasing diameters, made of insulating material, one under the other. Looking from outside, they are what look to be 3 rings at the base of the tower. Ultrasonic pumps get the nitrogen out from the spheres and send it inside these tubes, then into the spheres again. The circulating directions alternate top down. In general, but not always, he says the rotating directions are as follows. The top ring is clockwise. The first tube is anti-clockwise. The second tube is clockwise. The third tube is anti-clockwise. First ring under the disc, anti-clockwise. The second ring is clockwise.
Well, depending on like what you're doing with your pressures in there, like and how you had your capacitor set up, just pressing anything through that maze, like you get it, you know what I'm saying? Like there's like
Mhm.
a maze of donuts going through it. Like
Donuts,
pushing
right?
anything through there is gonna get stuff to kick out where the brakes are in it. You get what I'm saying? Like
Yep.
so either you're harnessing the power of the flow going through the whole system itself, which you would want to do anyway, or additionally, you were both harnessing the outputs between the donuts and or futzing with those to tune with the whole system together as one. I think if I'm getting how it works right.
Yeah, so he says that, so the two rings under the disc generate a strong electrostatic field. This field gets contorted around the general axis of symmetry because the top ring is made of alternating conductive and insulating substances. The spatial distribution of conductivity gets contorted because of the rotation of this ring. The lines of force of the electrostatic field forced to generate equipotential surfaces in the conductive areas of the ring roll up around the axis of symmetry. Then he says, this process does not get to its limit. On the contrary, it reaches a stable situation quickly, with its lines of force rotating and licking the outside walls of the tower. This is why the external surface is extremely smooth. Any roughness would get wiped away by this rotating field. So,
Well, the self-regulating thing is key too. Like you put whatever load on it and it only uses as much as it needs and then it stops at where it needs to stop, which
yeah.
is awesome.
Yeah, because he says that in the meantime, the insulating discs composing this ring get charged with electrostatic fields whose intensity is increasing up to the point that a corona effect takes place to get rid of the excess charge. That's why this ring is usually lit in a bluish hue. Huh.
I think that's it. Yeah, the plasma
Yep.
kicking off around it. Yep.
Yep. Yep. So then let's see, we get the next picture. There we go. Now you can see the field. So he says the nitrogen flowing at high speed inside the three tubes intersects the electrostatic lines of force so that it gets locally transformed into a plasma. So with the generation of a strong magnetic field. So he says the electrostatic lines of force, which you're seeing here, leaving torsion apart, they tend to converge to the top of the central column to the three rings, then to the bottom of the central column. The two lower rings participate in different ways. The second ring is shielded by the presence of the disk and of the lower ring. Therefore, it does not participate to the distortion of the field. The lower ring has the only effect of enlarging the field itself. That gets through the central column, closes on the tubes, then re-enters the central column through its lower extremity, as he shows you here in the drawing, with the ship in the middle and the rings radiating out.
Well, that would give you also like that's the two on the butterfly, the two bottom flap things are like your steering blasters, and then
Yep,
like your
yep.
two
He said that.
your if you do your bounce back right, your two little top ones up top would make another cavity, and that's where you would chill out. That's where you'd be able to chill out safely if you
Yep.
had it tuned correctly.
That's what, yeah, and there's a computer, he says, in the ship that does all that calculating for you. Um, so he says, because of the rotation of the electrostatic field, inside the central column, a magnetic field is generated that rotates in the opposite direction. But contrary of what we are used to, the two fields are not mutually orthogonal, excuse my Gaelic here, to each other. There is a distribution of different angles between electrical and magnetic fields that I have named the declination field. So he says, as it has often been the case, names chosen by Earthlings were widely used, and I may say that, speaking about bells, my own terminology entered at once into use. So he says the mean value of the declination field is the cause of a local gravitational field whose barycenter is located on the axis of symmetry, roughly at the height of the lower ring. So, yeah.
The lower ring right here would be beneath right where the flap is on the bottom part of the wing or whatever.
Yep.
That's I'm guessing the middle part of the bell would be some different substance to kind of give you like your floor or whatever on the
Yeah.
inside.
Yep. Yeah. So they had here is the gravitational thing, but they had pilots, Earth pilots flying these craft. So he said what happens there once that's all set up. He says, a look with the gravity, a local effect ensures the gravitational field intensity starts increasing with its distance from its origin. Then it starts lowering down, tending to get null at an infinite distance. Things are designed so that the intensity of this field remains practically constant inside the main cabin. So,
Except for the Schumann resonance thing, that's why the astronauts supposedly need to bring, that's why those little boxes, like the little thumping for the Earth
oh,
7.86, like they definitely want to have one of those in there somewhere. You don't want to go space madness, I think is a real thing. You don't want to get that.
so yeah, he says, so this means that where this artificial field reaches its maximum, usually at some distance from the craft, there is a strong force present that tends to pull everything toward the craft itself. This is what actually Semyasi was talking about when you're coming in and out of the portals, the wormholes. Um, you have to be careful about when you get too close to a planet because of this force, this drawing force. So as its gradient spatial derivative is very strong, an aircraft flying by could be destroyed simply because different areas would be subjected to extremely different pushes. So because of this design, if this field gets activated immediately, occupants feel a kind of a jerk due to the immediate substitution of the natural gravitational field with the artificial one. The standard procedure requires about 1 minute and a half before exchanging these fields. And again, this is like Semyasi totally was talking about this. So that's why when they take off, these craft at first get just some feet above the ground. And many people have seen this. Billy Meyer witnessed this, and Albert Coe witnessed this when Zret was taking off in his ship. So the ship before it, if it's near the ground, they said you'll notice that, and you might even hear a whirring, and it kind of like a leaf, it starts to quiver a little bit, and then you'll see it go. So he says it may be oscillating literally like a, he says it actually, he says it, it may be oscillating literally like a falling leaf. Now, this is actually captured, and this is why Billy Meyer is spot on most. I mean, if they're his, I'm pretty sure they're all real deal. He's got images of Semyasi's craft looking like a leaf like this, and that's exactly what you're going to see.
Well,
Um,
I was gonna say the one me and I think
yeah,
yeah, I'd actually have to ask him if he'd be down. Might be down to come on, but my buddy and I saw the one that we saw in Amherst.
yeah,
It was creeping like just steady though, like
yep,
rock steady. And then when I went to take off, like it tilted up a little bit and went just a little bit faster and whoop, like to a dot in the horizon, like
yeah, oh yeah,
no sound,
yep.
no no whir up. It just a little creeped a little bit faster. Like the all the lights were on and everything like the whole time, but I've never seen one where it came down ground level and then came
Yeah,
up again, which hopefully, but I'm
the
open
one
to
I
it.
saw was flying at the height of a private, those little propeller prop planes, and it looked just like a prop plane. I mean, it didn't look like it looked like a UFO. It was a saucer. It was a Pleiadian scout, but I mean, it was just straight, yep, flying across at that. And of course, and you've seen them too, like when they power up when they're flying overhead, they're all like pretty steady, and all of a sudden like this huge flash, and then it's gone. But you can almost see it like shudder. Not really, I don't know, like gives it a little bit of a
That almost makes me wonder, like the ones where you only see it out of the corner of your eye, is if like you're catching, like part of your eye is open to see that light spectrum, A, but B, like you're only catching it blink in and out, like or it's like creeping in viso mode up to the portal or whatever the travel gate, and then like the travel gate opens or they're coming in through it and it flashes for a second, and then you're like, what was that? I saw
what was
that.
that? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Totally, totally. Yeah. But that's like people were making fun of that falling leaf look, but that's exactly what you're gonna see. Just like all the smoke around the craft, you're going to see that from the ion around the ship. You know, there's while an eventual observer on the ground feels the field's increasing. People have noticed that too. People have felt this. When a balance is reached, the bell starts away. So again, because of the distribution of the gravitational field, one can realize looking carefully that the floor is not flat, but slightly convex, so that the pull is always orthogonal to the floor. So he says, as is typical with all of the W56's technology, and this is a humanoid race. I'm not quite sure where they're from. I think they're from the Lyra area. But I'm not sure the Keplers. I'm guessing. I haven't quite narrowed it down yet. They never said where they were from, so I'm on the hunt to find that out. And their name, the Italians called the W56s. So also with bells, each component performs several different functions at the same time. The three spheres, for instance, tend to get charged electrostatically. This charge is used to drive the lower rings to their operating speed. For this reason, the external surface of the spheres is made of an insulating material, iron. We use that too, actually. If the pilot, after a long flight, wants to land, it is better that he does so after retracting the spheres. This way, only the outer rim of the main disc discharges and the effects are greatly reduced. So yeah, I mean, I think for most people to get an
Well,
idea.
to the jitter point, like kind of, well, I was explaining this, and I'll put him on blast, whatever, but like, I was explaining this to my dad about like the Hutchison effect. Like, it's the
Oh,
same thing, I think. Like, you're kind of, if you're watching, like, say you're watching, uh, something for a while and it's got kind of a slow, like, rock back and forth to it. Like, we're almost to the point where you don't notice it. Like, but it's just going very, but these craft, some of them, I think the way that they take off is they have to build up a charge, right, to take off to outer space. But they got a cheat sheet where they don't need to wait around for whatever, say 100 years to build a charge of our time. But they can just be like, I'm going to compress that amount of time down to whatever, 5 minutes. So, or say it's because people have seen trees grow whatever 5 years. So say it's 5 years worth of charge.
oh yeah.
They're going to compress it down into whoop, a little 3 minute thing of Andrew and Evan looking, being like, wow, that thing is starting to really jitter out. And then, so that super slow rock for 5 years back and forth, you're just going to see it back and forth. Kind of, it's because it's matching the resonance to the Earth's time. Like the same time that it's using needs to match up with us, which is way faster than what we're at. But we just see that all of a sudden, and then when it dumps it, boop, all the plant life and everything around it catches up with where we're at now, and then boop, it's off to wherever it needs, to the grocery store or whatever it's doing. Like,
Oh yeah, totally, totally. So I don't think, let's see, we got that. Yeah, so I recommend that book. Like I said, folks want to read. I'm not going to go anymore because we want to do something else. So that just showing you there again the condensation cloud that comes around it, and good enough.
well, kind of to the Hutchison same point is like the I was explaining it to him in the fashion of like it's not, at least as I get how it works, it's not the piece of straw and then the storm both, or like the piece of straw whoop, drives the piece, wind drives it into a tree or into a rock. It's the wind and the electricity and the magnetism is all jumbled everything up, and the rock and the straw are and then when it stops, whoop, the hurricane moves on and it stops. Hey, oh, they're together now. Like, that's how I get it works. That's the same thing that John Hutchison is doing. That's the same thing that the ships are doing to take off, like, with in regards of like building it up,
Yeah.
as I get it.
Yeah.
So it, for in terms of like a visual, like that's how it could be the wind blowing it right into the middle of a rock, perfectly matching the atoms, but I doubt it. I don't, I'm open to being corrected, but
Oh my God. So let's see. I have some other stuff. That we want to move on to. So we can. Here it is. Screen share again. All right. Here we go. I'm gonna pull this up. Ta-da! So this is a great channel that both Evan and I recommend y'all check out for some unbelievably like magical stuff on there. So this is Ashton Forbes' podcast, and he had a very intriguing. I'm obviously gonna put the links to all these in the comments because if you're anything like me, you're lazy and you want to just be able to click on it, and
That's fair.
yeah. The old academic in me is like, you gotta have all the references because we're all so lazy, we don't want to find anything. But so this one here, this is from the recent one on UFO technology, and this is a clip that Evan is gonna share. So I'll play it first, right? Unless Evan, is there something you'd like to introduce before we start the clip?
I guess yeah, I kind of wrote like a note like it's the three of them have kind of different points, but they all are really the same overarch. The A I know is I'm definitely not on Dave Rossi or this dude's level, but I feel like this gentleman definitely knows a lot more than he's letting on. But
Oh yeah, yeah.
he goes off about this. The pretext to this is going into like they kind of lead in with what's going on with DNA if it's been altered with and kind of uh the subcontext is Ashton's not necessarily on board with aliens being all the way one way or the other, like good or bad or like real or man-made or whatever. And I'm pretty sure Mr. Montauk knocked him over the fence in terms of like it's one of the options out there. Like it's like the grain of sand thing comes to my mind in terms of like, oh, we're the only grain of sand on the beach. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, look at us, this special grain of sand. Like, in reality, there's a whole beach full and oceans of oceans full of sand everywhere. And like, there's a good chance there's another piece of sand along the same lines as us out there. Like, this guy kind of goes to, this clip kind of goes to the point of like, maybe both the external to space-time Earth factor of somebody tampering with it versus like people with money maybe being aware that our DNA has been tampered with on that level and then wanting to interject with the narrative versus folks like us that are trying to just get a handle on what the actual deal is and let everybody be on the same page and see if we can progress as one, hopefully.
Well, that's the end goal. That's the
But that was kind of the long-winded pre-context to it. I think it's only all three of them are only a minute, I'm pretty sure,
Yeah,
around that
I
minute.
actually only got two on here, so we might have missed one, but that's all right. If I could, I'll just put the link in on the comment section for people to watch. But I recommend the whole show because it's super
Oh,
awesome.
all the hard truths are pretty
Oh
awesome.
no, yeah. I mean,
This one and the one right before it with Sal Pais and Dave
yeah.
Rossi are fire.
Well, they're just very academic but entertaining, and the behind the scenes scholarship is just, man, it's just nice. It's not a bunch of fluff or there's no fluff. I mean, it's action shows. There's no fluff.
Oh,
There's
exactly. Or if there is and he thinks there is, then like well, like us, we'll just call it out. Like, hey,
oh,
that seems a little fluffy. What's going on there?
a little fluff. You bring out your lint brush right now. Oh my God. So here's your man here. Yeah, Montauk. Yeah, not the Montauk, but
They're always like, well, I can tell you about this, but no, I'll tell you about it in a skiff because it's, it's the secure things. And then when they finally get into the skiff, they give them some BS. And then
this is the one on this. He was talking about the current disclosure stuff in Congress. Um, and how they're always in these skiffs and they can't reveal anything. It's just that, I mean, the congressional disclosure stuff is basically just that's fluff. So
when
that's
you
what
come out of it, people ask, well, what did you say in the skiff? And then, well, we can't talk about it because it's classified. So the Congress people, they get blocked. And these people testifying, they can only say so much, even in the skiff, So it's ultimately, I think it's a clown show. I think it's so on the one hand, it does add an air of credibility to the UFO subject. Like, oh, there's people in uniform.
But Evan, yeah, this is what I might take away. I don't even watch them anymore. I used to teach them in my course to show I'm so glad they were there because when I used to teach the courses on disclosure, I would show them to my students, like, okay, see, this is legit. This is actually not only in the Brazilian Senate hearings, but also in ours. Like, it's legit, folks, so
Oh, this is a different one. The DNA one was a different
yeah, we
point,
didn't get
but that which is all right. The skiff one
I'll put it in the comments. Yeah, yeah.
no, this one I thought was especially poignant because I mean for years I remember the first Greer one being the first Greer conference, and I think they actually mentioned it earlier in this podcast, and maybe it was a different one, but anyway, like there was bigger bombshells in that than there are on the in terms of like what was said, like
Yeah.
then there and some of those folks are not around anymore. But the bar is for sure being pushed, but like at the same time, like the awareness of like, hey, if you were gonna try to I'm just going to throw out a theoretical, like if you're going to try to kick in the door and take all the alien bodies, then they're probably going to have enough shells out there where you're going to pick the wrong shell on the shell game and they're going to still have whatever in their hand and or know what shell you're going to pick, maybe, I'm guessing. But like there's enough whatever behind it where they're going to definitely, until they're ready to come out with it themselves for whatever reason, they're probably going to get away with like, hey, there's this three senators that know, and they can only tell you about it in this facility that's 19 miles underground, and you have to sign your life away if you ever breathe a word about it. Like, but yep, all that stuff's real. Like,
Yeah.
wait, okay, like, why can't we say anything? Like, oh, national security. Like, you're only security level 3. It goes up to security level 15. Just work on it. We'll tell you in 17 years, maybe.
Right, right. I mean, that's
Talking about what they've seen. And I guess for the normies or the people that are getting into ufology for the first time, it's good for them. Like it introduces it, it softens.
well, I mean, and that's what Linda and I were talking about, the normies. And I've been trying to, show this to people for a long time, and it just doesn't seem to, make the, but I think, yeah, I think for those kinds of people, it's, you're
I
right.
would,
Oh,
I,
yeah.
I totally agree. Well, I wouldn't. I would say normies and without like, I don't know if there's arrogance attached to it or not, or like a class system necessarily, but like, hopefully everybody's eventually not a normie is like the way I would say it. Like right now, normie versus maybe in 3 years, everybody's on the same page as us. Like, oh yeah, obviously that's real. Like, duh.
Yeah, yeah, no, no. I mean, I think it's just better than sheepies. I think it's just a word of because I think I mean when you teach this stuff, you meet so many people that just make your head explode. You're like you're not um they're just so brainwashed by the propaganda that they're not actually reasoning. It's not that you want them to go along with you. It's just that you want them to reason. And all they ever respond to is like, well, how come the news show isn't showing it? How come the news isn't? But like, oh my God, the news is there. It's like you're like, eh.
Even to the one from whatever the day before yesterday, like the Israel mothership thing, like
Oh, I
that's
got that. Oh God,
like you
yeah.
take I'll take that as like 1/3 win and 2/3 cringe. Like the 1/3 is like, hey, they're getting the mothership out there in the
Oh my
nomenclature, and then
God.
like the 2/3
Yeah.
like, okay, Iran, really? Like, can you guys pick a little bit more valid of a country, please? Like
I'm just like, what do you
somebody
mean?
with some money at
Yeah,
least.
I got that clip. I can play that after this, but we'll save that for that clip because it's like,
All right, all right,
what the F?
all
What the F?
Softens us up to the idea that hey, there's really something going on. So that's good. But for like the seasoned ufology researchers, we're like, oh my god, this is so elementary. Like, why are you not going where you should be going? Okay, but to their credit, they are going further than they ever have before. Like all these other prior UFO flaps and stuff going back decades, but
So I mean,
they're always like, well, I can tell you about this, but no, I'll tell you about it in a skiff because
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
when it
that's
comes to security.
cool thing. Okay, there it is. Okay, that's me. So the next one you have, yeah, I mean, I don't think most of us assume that the government's not going to be the ones that's going to be revealing anything anyway. So,
I think the next one is the security related one, which is kind of tied to the skiff thing, and that
oh yeah.
which really like
Ta-da.
pretty sure that this is the one about this security issue, and then it to me would say something just along the lines of they don't want to have to pay out for it, like
Hmm.
A to the thing of like hey, tomorrow Evan and Andrea started a company that tries to build UFOs, like just for the spite factor to try to cash in and say that we were left out, like which legitimately we could do and maybe we should and or will do. But say we started that and then we put out a bid, just post it on some whatever board, like, oh, obviously we've been discriminated against now. Like there's a company that's been getting paid however many millions a month, or say millions, though let's lowball it, millions a month. Now we're one of 17 companies that were due to a compensation to that million a month. Like somebody has to pay that out to us now. Like, and hey, we're just as valid to a no bid contract, like, oh gosh, somebody's definitely going down in fire for that, for sure. That alone, and then you say the national security issue to the one exception of everybody else needing to have it for humans, I would say Skynet probably doesn't need to have it. Like, if there's a way that completely autonomously activate a plasma ball that does whatever it wants and the AI can take that. Like, no, no, no. Like humanity needs to have their own, everybody needs to have their own personal plasma ball at home doing whatever first. And then let's try that after. Like, oh, everybody set your plasma ball at home to Skynet's active today. Like, whoops, click, click. All right, damn it. Versus like, oh my God, like I'm out in the fields and throwing a frisbee to my dog, and then the Skynet plasma ball flies in. That's one security issue that I would hesitantly even throw out there as an option, but realistically would not ignore.
So true. Oh my God. So here is the clip we were talking about.
What do you think the national security issue is that they can't talk about? By the way, I totally agree with you that the big issue with a lot of these guys is that I don't think they're necessarily dishonest people, right? But they just run into competing incentives where they now have NDAs and they can't speak about stuff. They would literally go to prison over it. Yeah. What do you think they're hiding? Couple things. One, advanced technology, including admitting to what degree they themselves have some of that advanced technology. Because the thing is that there have been crash retrievals, as Jamie Bush and all these others have been talking about. There are crash retrievals. Well, who retrieved it? Shadow military, the Eeka government. They've been using it, and so therefore, if they've been using it, have they developed some of that technology? And the answer is yes. And the next question is, what have they been doing with that technology? What about these military abductions or these portal technology and for mind control purposes and sexual, trafficking purposes and so on, web gun running and all that? Well, it leads also to a lot of liability because they used it to get up to a lot of no good, a lot of illegal.
Yep.
What do you think the national security?
For sure, for sure. Yeah. I think we all know that story. They got a bunch of stuff. As Major Filer had mentioned, we're 1,500 years in the future right now. That's the technology we got. But we don't. They got.
Somebody, there's a balance. That's the thing that just that as far as like, and I don't care. I'll go full woo. But as far as like the nature yin yang balance, like that's full Sith. Like they've been cheesing full Sith for a while. Like there definitely needs to be some Jedi out there somewhere getting it in, and I feel like there is, but like they've been killing them pretty readily for a while.
I think, and I hope, I'm just guessing. Like I said, I think the tables have finally turned. I just think that. I'm just like, they have to. I mean, please.
I think there's more people that are on the same page, like just to the election point. And obviously, I'm not tooting our horn, but we're a little ahead of the curve on some stuff. But like, I remember thinking even last year, like somebody saying whatever about the election, and I'm like, I'm a one issue. If anybody brings up anything about the power source of the UFOs, that's it. Like, boom, that's it. Or anything along that lines, like mentions it, done deal. That's it. And like, I don't care about any of this other crap. And I think just on a larger level to the issue, that point just speaks across the board. Like now, like, hey, what you have a ray gun? Like, cool. I don't care that somebody found it in the 80s and they painted it and it was the Russians painted it pink and then now the CIA chiseled most of the paint off. Like, tell us about the friggin' ray gun. Like, no, this paint is really important, but also Bigelow had it for a while and they put a marker on it. Like, no, wait. Whoa, you guys missing the point. Like, what's over here? This ray gun? Like, even more basic than that. What's the battery to that? They're like,
Right. Nothing to see right now.
exactly.
We
Yeah.
never hear from Evan again. And yeah, no, it's just, oh my God. But the crazy, and we'll finish with this one. This is that crazy clip that Ashton dug up. Here to share. What in the hell is going on with this? Let me see where is it. I can find it here. Ta-da. Okay, so this is that Van Drew dude from New Jersey. I know. My mind just exploded when I heard this. I'm like it glitched and everything. So I don't know what they're talking about per se. But anyway, let's see, Evan.
How is it, guys? Yeah, this is the craziest shit. These are the people that don't believe in quantum mechanics. That think that teleportation is insane people stuff. Anti-gravity is insane people stuff. Hey, here's all the scientific papers that say it's not. No, that's insane people stuff. The normal people believe that alien motherships or Iranian motherships are deploying drones off the coast. We just don't have any images of them or pictures or anything. And yes, we just, we're not going to say anything about that. Like,
yeah,
it is.
Well,
so this is the original clip. So he was just commenting on it. Let me just pull up the original so people can, if they haven't seen it yet. This is that Van Drew, New Jersey dude. Just blowing everybody's mind. Like, I don't like let me see, where is this? Here it is. Okay.
I don't remember who.
Sources. I'm going to tell you the.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I don't remember. I think it was to do with this, but like I don't remember who it was with. But Jesse Michaels had a clip too along this lines where he said the trifecta behind the whatever phenomena, we'll just say phenomena, is AI, Grush stuff, and quantum.
Okay.
So when anyone leans one of the three and says it's the only, like say like this is Grush, we'll say Grush stuff just to have a nice public fluffy label on it. But you and I know what we're talking about, like
it's the government. It's the government stuff. It's
tech or tech, the tech angle of it.
Tech, yep, reverse engineered Earth-made tech. Yeah.
Yeah, to that point, and when anybody goes to one specific angle of it and says the other two are not any other option but that is the only answer, personally, I get a little weary, but let the clip play. I think I don't mean to yammer on before. It's definitely it's a good clip.
I have no idea. So is he talking a mothership like a ship on the water, or is he actually mean a mothership as in a craft?
Like a craft, and evidently, contextually, China sold it to him, I think, is
so
what
my brain was having a hard time because, like Ashton just said, we're actually listening to people who think we're all crazy ass tinfoil nut jobs. So he actually means a mothership as in an electrogravitic reverse engineered ship.
A big jammer though, like not just one of the little hang around town guys, like the yacht, the luxury yacht. Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
Iranian.
So, according to the government and everybody around the government, aliens don't exist, or if they do, we don't know anything about it. We don't even understand it. 2, we've never reverse engineered a craft. They don't exist. We don't know what they are. So
the Iranians have though.
Right, the Iranians have electrogravitic exotic propulsion motherships, not just a little Scout or a TR-3B.
As of today, December the 12th, 2024, only the Iranians publicly on the news.
I think he said they bought it from the Chinese.
Yep. Yeah. So the Chinese are the only ones officially on the record.
God, this is correct. Talking about tinfoil hat, this guy needs to put one on.
Real deal. Iran launched a mothership probably about a month ago that contains these drones. That mothership is off. I'm going to tell you the deal. It's off the East Coast of the United States of America. They've launched drones. It's everything that we can see or hear. And again, these are from high sources. I don't say this lightly. Now, we know there was a probability it could have been our own government. We know it's not our own government because they would have let us know. It could have been some really glorified hobbyist or hobbyists that were doing something unbelievable.
I'm not, anyway.
Well, you and I can
Our
both
own
sleep.
government would never, the government would tell you the truth all the time. As we
Oh,
all
we
know
could
on this show, Evan, you
sleep
and all of us,
sound.
right?
Sleep sound tonight, and our government would have told us if that was there, for sure.
Absolutely, because they love us so much. And our government has always supported us, and they're just amazing people. We love them so much.
Well, you don't remember that? You don't remember that $300 that you got from George W. Bush?
See how much they love you? See how
Yep.
much? Yeah.
Yep.
See that? They would never hurt you. They never would hurt you. Yeah. Or it could be some really smart person in their garage building.
Oh no, I think he cleared it up later that he says later in the clip that obviously we don't have hobbyists like this in the United States.
Well, you'd be surprised.
So
They're clever.
yeah, I haven't met any with any motherships yet, but I'm open to
Well,
if they want to reach out.
You got some grandmas and grandpas with a lot of time on their hands.
Hopefully, hey, if they want to show me their mothership, I'm down.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past some of those elderly people. They're building these things. I'll bet you any money. That's my take. Couple of elderly people hanging around. They've been around for a long time. They've known all this stuff. They've been. So
I had a speculation last year or the year before that it was going to be the Amish that came out with it.
yes,
Because nobody expects the Amish.
it's the Amish. You nailed it.
They don't like our technology because the stuff they have under the barn is the Tartaria stuff is like way more exquisite.
Oh my God. We cracked it. It's the Amish. They make
That
you
would be awesome.
They're riding the horses around. Everybody's like, oh yeah, don't look at them. They're just riding horses. But when no one's looking, craft is flying, man.
They go under the barn. It's all.
But let's pretend that's possible. The third possibility was somebody in an adversarial country doing this. Know that Iran made a deal with China to purchase possible sources.
Yeah, Iran made a deal and purchased UFOs from China. Okay, yeah.
They know it. They know that they bought them from China. They saw the receipts.
Well, China, you get everything from China nowadays, so it makes sense.
Oh, that's true. Well, they had the best bargain on motherships. If you go, I've heard Australian motherships are classier, but way more expensive.
I'm going to go on Amazon. They might have a deal before Christmas.
Oh yeah, they might. But if you bulk order, let me know. I'll chip in.
Yeah, you can get on some. Yes.
That's a good idea.
I know a guy who can pilot these babies.
I need at least 4, one for everybody at work, and then just an extra to have kicking around.
But it's nice to have a little. You never know. Something breaks on one too. You don't want to.
Oh yeah, spare for parts.
Yeah. So cool. I don't think in a million years I ever would have expected an official government agent to stand forward and be like, "Oh man, there's motherships off the East Coast shooting drones." I'm like, "Oh, right, cool."
That's the anonymous official top source from Fox News.
It's making us in this channel look like mainstream. We're like normies.
Oh yeah, we're way ahead of the curve. We've been saying that for what at least a decade. Like, hey, welcome aboard, guys. Thanks for joining. Been here a while. Show you around.
Anyway, I don't think I can top that. I'm kind of speechless after hearing that this morning, but we're going to see a lot more Evan on here for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it for sure. And hopefully helpful, and definitely don't think anything we discussed was misleading or wrong territory. So I'm
the government loves us and gives us money and takes care of us, and and I think
we got a COVID. I got a COVID check.
Yeah, COVID checks and all that stuff. Well,
I forgot about that. I
got one, and yeah. So I mean, we're always supporting the team. Let's just.
Hey, I would have only said $300. That's in 21 years or roughly 20 years. That's almost $1,500.
See that?
That's a That's crazy. I'm grateful.
It's enough for you to buy your craft off Amazon.
Oh, hopefully, yeah, or enough to at least make a reservation
Yeah,
for your bulk
I think
order.
they're, unless you want a custom, I think they're like 189 or 199 because they're doing that 20% off before Christmas stuff. Like,
Oh, good. Yeah, no, I'm gonna I have to make sure all the good colors aren't sold out.
well, that, I mean, you probably can't, yeah, the colors, what can you do? But, it is what it is. You can always get them painted.
Oh, that's true. Well, yeah, and I don't. I've heard there's some good folks that do good paint
Need it.
work in this country.
If you need detailing on your craft, don't go to Venus. Those guys are, man, they're like rock stars up there. Everybody goes to Venus.
I'd probably go to Mars first, I guess, just for the
They're pricey.
nostalgia factor.
You're not gonna, they don't give you a good deal. They're more expensive. Those Martians are always a little funny. It's
The red hair, the red planet. It's just I
oh my God. Yeah. Jeez Louise. Well, anyway, we want to thank again, Evan. I'm so glad you're able to squeeze us in today to get this little chat going because this was wild stuff. And man, we're looking forward to seeing more from you and hopefully some folks have some questions for you in the comments. They want to get some conversations going. People always feel bad commenting in the comments. I tell them comment sections are for comments. That's why they're there. So feel free, and I'll put all the links in the description section so everybody can just click on easily. Because if you're anything like me, you're lazy, you're not going to bother. So subscribe, of course, for some interesting tech stuff and lasers creations from Evan on his channel. And also we're going to give a link to Linda's channel as well below there. So super cool beans.
Heck yeah, mine's the ancient pathways,
Oh yeah, I'll
and
put the
then
link so they can, yeah.
huge shout to potentials also. Heck yeah.
That's going to be in the description link. That way there it's easy to click on, People, when I'm watching a podcast, people mention names. I'm like, oh, are you looking for a pen or a pen? You're like, oh crap. Then you're gonna
Oh, even just the last year, I got that way myself. Like, wait, is there a link on the bottom? Like,
is there a
all
link on
right,
the bottom? Yes, because there should be a link on the bottom. Without a
I
link,
gotta be at least 80% amped up about something to go to Yandex and look it up and find it for myself. But
yeah. So I put a link that way there, it's easy. That, and I've been in academia forever, so we put links and things to everything because it's easier. Because it's easier. They always say whenever you want something done, have somebody lazy do it for you. Yeah.
that's a good proverb. I like that.
That's right. Oh my God. Well, we're gonna wish, of course, Evan a good evening because you got an early day. Back to the old grind tomorrow. No grind for me yet. We'll see what happens. But other than that, yeah, we'll say gratitude, blessings, and much joy to all of us and all of the wonderful viewers who are on our team here. So
Oh, absolute gratitude, respect, phase lock right across the board.
yes, yes. All right, and we'll see everybody upstairs.